Alright, I know this video is gonna piss some people off, but let's get it on. Weak men. I know these over-the-top feminist fools are gonna come on my channel and say, this JY's character, he doesn't like women. This JY's character, he's a young chauvinistic pig. So I basically made this video to just even out the playing field a bit. So in this video, I'm gonna kick the absolute banana shit stuffing out of men. So stay tuned. There are some men who keep their finances exclusive from their missus. There are some men who don't tell their missus how much they have in savings, which is cool. Personally, if I had a missus, I probably would tell her that I earn 50, 60,000 pounds a year. And maybe if I had 20, 30,000 pounds in savings, I would say something. But if you don't, I'm not judging. But the people who I do judge are the type of men who they run into financial difficulty and they don't say anything. They don't say anything because they don't want to receive help from their missus. They don't want to tarnish their pride. They don't want to affect their pride because they're scared of what their missus might think. But the problem with that is, you know, they're not paying off their credit card bill. That's up to like 20, 30,000 pounds in debt. Or, you know, they can't afford to pay off the car bill. Or they're not keeping up with the mortgage payments. Bailiffs will turn up to the house at 5, 6 in the morning and want to repossess the house. So, because you was too scared or you had too much pride to say anything, your family is going to be affected by your actions. I remember when I was at work, I had a work colleague who was going to potentially be made redundant. And I said to him, you know, have you started looking for another job? And he said, kind of. So I said, so what's your missus saying about it? And he said, I haven't told her. And I said, why have you not told your missus when you've only got 6 weeks until you potentially couldn't have a job? And he said, oh, 6 weeks is a long time, you know. I said, no, it's not. That's only 42 days, bro. And then he said, oh, do you know what? You're right, you know. He basically didn't want to tell her because he didn't want to send her into a panic mode, which I get. But at the same time, what's going to happen? So you're going to be made redundant and you're just going to go home from work and just say, yeah, I don't have a job. That's going to send her in a worse panic. At least if you tell her now, she's got time to prepare herself mentally rather than just dropping a bomb on her. I was close to one of the trade unions at work. And he told me that one of my work colleagues was fired from work. And on the day that he was dismissed, the man's wife called up the trade union and said, why is my husband being abruptly fired from work? And he said, he hasn't been abruptly fired from work. We've been sending letters to his house for 6 months during this investigation. But he hasn't had the balls to say anything to you. So you need to start asking him questions instead of phoning me up, screaming down my phone. There are certain men out there, they will not defend their missus. There are certain men out there, you could disrespect their missus in front of them and they won't say or do a damn thing. Kevin Hart, the comedian, made a joke about, I'm a small guy and if a big man comes along and slaps you, then you just got slapped. Now that was a funny joke, but there are certain men out there, they won't defend their missus. God forbid I have a missus and she has a job where she has a male boss and he's putting pressure on her and he's being disrespectful to her. After I go down there and put it on him, she won't even have a job because he'll be too afraid to put her in her place if she is doing something she's not supposed to. I remember one time I had a girlfriend. I was young, she was young as well. We were teenagers. She was 17, I was 19. Asian girl, really attractive. And one of her neighbors gave her a lift down the road. And I don't know why, but he thought he could try and put his hand on her leg. Now, she's 17 and he's a grown man. He's like 50 years old. He thought he could put his hand on her leg. And she told me. And I said, yeah. So, 40, 50-minute public transport journey all the way down to her area. Because back then, my bike wasn't working. And, yeah, I had to give him a pasting in the street. And, yeah, I think he learned his lesson from that. So, there's no way I could have a missus and I'll not defend her. No way. Even one time I was in flipping Subway. I think the lady was Polish who was serving me. She was at the till and she kind of just brushed into the boss who was walking past her. And he barked at her. He was like really aggressive and he shouted at her. Now I don't know what he said to her because they were speaking a different language. I'm assuming that they were Polish. I don't know what he said to her, but the body language was just obvious. He was really aggressive to her, like it was crazy. So I said to her, what did he say to you? And he said, he said F off. And I was like, what? And she was like, no, I'm just joking. He just said, excuse me. I was like, that is not how you say excuse me to a lady. So anyway, so he's left the till and he's gone out into the shop floor, like where all the customers are, where all the tables are. So I've gone out to my car to get some hand sanitizer because obviously, you know, like, I've got OCD. So I've gone back in the shop now and I thought to myself, like, nah, I can't have a man talk to a woman like that in my presence and not say nothing. So I put it on him. I said to him, don't you dare talk to no woman like that. And he's, I didn't say anything to her. I was just like, he basically was just lying. He was just trying to pretend that he wasn't disrespectful to her, but he was disrespectful to her. And I didn't like it. So if I would defend a random woman, there's no way I could never defend my missus. Only weak men don't defend their woman. I don't care if there's 5 men. I'll stand my ground. If I get beaten up, then it is what it is. But there's no way I'm going to let someone disrespect my missus in front of me. You mad? Men who beat up their girlfriends. That's weak as well. Oh, you know, she was disrespectful and she peed me off. Whoa. I don't care if she was disrespectful. I don't care if she peed you off. Why don't you just leave? And I don't mean just walk out of the house for a couple of hours or a couple of days. I mean, why don't you just find another woman? Oh, you know, I love her so much so I can't leave. Oh, so you're too weak that you can't be alone. Or you're too weak that you can't leave this woman. So what you're going to do is you're going to stay in a relationship and you're going to put yourself in a position where you might do something to get yourself in trouble. Or worse, end up in prison instead of leaving. And it's just crazy as well because a lot of women who are in like domestic violence relationships, they might get attacked or whatever and then they go to hospital. And I'm telling you, every receptionist or administration worker or nurse and doctor all knows this generic line. I walked into a door. I could just imagine a woman turning up to the hospital with bruise marks on her face and whatever. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe the boyfriend even go with them because obviously they might be a bit insecure that the woman's going to grass them up, which they should. They can imagine a woman turning up to the front desk with the boyfriend who beat her up. And then she's saying, oh, you know, I just walked into a door and stuff. And the woman's probably looking at her and thinking, yeah, right, I know he's probably the one who hit you. I swear she should probably be underneath the desk with her hand like they're just tapping the panic button. But a lot of women, I don't know why they stay in these stupid domestic violence relationships. But, you know, each to their own. But if you're in a position where your missus pees you off and you feel like you need to hit her, you need to leave that relationship and find a new woman because you might find yourself in prison rather than just be alone. She has male friends. Now, I've dealt with this situation before. When a girl has guys in the friend zone, it's because she doesn't find them sexually attractive. Even if you can look at that guy and no homo, you think, yeah, you know what, he's good looking, or, you know, he has a flashy car, or he has a lot of money, he has a lot of drive and ambition. There's something about that guy she doesn't find sexually attractive. Now, I was in this situation before, and I didn't like it at first, until the girl broke down the situation. She said to me, these guys are in the friend zone. They are like females to me. I don't find them sexually attractive. When I'm around them, I actually go out of my way to behave masculine. I talk with slang. I burp. I fart. I do all the things around them that I wouldn't do around you because I don't want them to see me like that. She's nominated these guys because they are almost like big brothers to her. Physically as well. They're all older than her. And they were really big guys, like big, tall, dark guys. And, you know, they were built like tanks. She nominated these guys because she wanted that emotional support from them when stuff wasn't going right for her in their relationships. Because, you know, girls always have breakups and stuff. And some girls communicate with guys better than girls. So she's nominated these guys to be like, kind of like emotional tampons. She doesn't find these guys sexually attractive and they are just friends. Men who are emotionally unstable. Believe it or not, there are men out there who cry. Believe it or not, there are men out there who they've been dumped by their missus and they've called the girlfriend crying to take me back. Please, I can't live without you. Listen, sometimes when a woman dumps a man, she's just dumping him to see if he's got the strength to survive on his own. Because certain men, they can't live without their missus. There are some guys, right, if their missus dumped them, they would want to kill themselves. There are some men that can't live without their missus. So sometimes when a woman dumps a man, she's just testing to see how strong you are. Can you survive on your own? And I tell you what, if you call her back and you cry, you have failed. Just imagine a guy who comes home from work and he's had an argument with his boss or had an argument with a co-worker, and he locks himself in the toilet and he's just sitting there and she has to coach him. Come on, Timmy, don't kill yourself. Like, it's just foolishness. Women need a strong man. Women can't be the one who has to coach the person and, you know, mentally support the man. It has to be the other way around. The woman needs mental support from the man. The man has to be the one who she comes to when she's got problems, not the other way around. Imagine two of them arguing in the house. It'd be like flipping chaos. It's basically just two women in the house. All estrogen, probably stink of estrogen, all the femininity in the air. Men need to be strong. It's not even about being physically strong. It's all about being mentally strong, because being physically strong, right, is only one part of it, but being mentally strong is the main thing. You know, there's always going to be someone bigger and stronger than you, but there's not always going to be someone who's mentally stronger than you. And unfortunately, certain men out here, they suffer from depression. But you know what, at the end of the day, right, if the woman wants to leave that man because he's got depression, then I don't blame her, because at the end of the day, I believe in natural selection, and it's all about survival of the fittest. So if you're not fit at that time and there's no hope of you getting fit anytime soon, then the woman needs to bounce. There are certain men out there, they have jobs where they have to stay away from home. Maybe 5 days, maybe a month. So they'll be away from their missus for a substantial amount of time. And they think in that time their missus is doing extracurricular activities with men. Because I've heard men say it to me. I've heard men say, oh, you know, when I'm away from home, I just think my missus might be doing stuff. And I think to myself, no, I don't think like that. Do you know why? Because first of all, I don't believe a woman would cheat on me. And second of all, most women, just because you're out of sight, doesn't mean she's going to cheat on you. Listen, she's going to cheat on you anyway. It doesn't matter whether or not you're staying away from home or you're living at home. She's going to cheat on you. But there are certain women out there, they will stay faithful to their boyfriends whilst they're in prison for 6 months. So, and I know women like that. If a woman can stay faithful to a man who's in prison for 6 months, who can't provide nothing for her, he can't offer nothing, all he is just some phone time, she should be able to stay faithful to a guy who's coming home once every 5-6 days or once a month. So it's just in your mind. You are paranoid. How can you think just because you're out of sight, she's going to cheat on you? That's ridiculous. There are some men out there who are jealous of the wife or girlfriend's friends. Now, I'm not talking about their male friends, right? We're done with that already. We moved on. There are some men out there who are jealous of the time that their girlfriend or wife spends with their friends. They make pathetic statements and say, you don't spend enough time with me. Or you're always out with her. Or you're always talking to her on the phone. Why are you not giving me enough time? First of all, you're assuming the role of the female, because that's what women are supposed to do. So you're already coming across like with a lot of feminine energy, complaining about you're not spending enough time. The woman is supposed to be chasing you down for time. You're supposed to be out there at the gym doing what you're doing, you know, pursuing your dreams and stuff like that. She's supposed to be chasing you down for more time, not the other way around. And it's funny as well, because when you've got relationships and you've got friends, irrespective of the genders, but the partner sometimes is jealous of the best friend, or the best friend is sometimes jealous of the partner. Rarely do you get where they're just mutual, they're just cool. A lot of the time, right, even if you don't know this, there's secret envy. You just don't know. Trust me, I've seen it many times. I've seen, you know, obviously, let's just use men, for example. I've seen men who are jealous of the girl's best friend, and I've seen, you know, female best friends who are jealous of the girl's new boyfriend. It happens all the time. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. There are certain men in this country who fall for the green card scam. There are certain men in this country, they're so weak and vulnerable, they can't find no women in this country. So what they do is, they go and take on a woman who's a foreigner, who will just come to this country and get married to him just so she has stay in this country. I know a great example. So one of my previous work colleagues, he's from the UK, but he's not a desirable male. If you ever see him, you know what I'm talking about. So his missus is from like Indonesia or somewhere. And one time we were at work, you know, when I work, I'm on the grind, you know, I work 7 days a week and stuff like that. And the weekend went past, you know, we worked on the weekend. We worked Saturday and Sunday. And he came back on Monday and he said, oh, I'm just so tired. And I said, oh, okay, well, what's going on? And he said, oh, you know, I had to clean up on the weekend after I came back from work. So I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, yeah, because my missus went to her mum's house and, you know, I had to clean up while she went away. So I was like, all right, cool. So I didn't ask any questions, but I thought it was quite strange, right? So anyway, so boom. So we're at work one day and he gets a phone call and his missus says, oh, you know, there's some people at the door from the council. And they're asking strange questions like who lives here and stuff, like why are you here, because you're not the person who's on the register and stuff. Really being like, as us Caribbeans say, inner, yeah, or inner their business. So afterwards I thought this is a good opportunity to probe and be a bit nosy. So I said, oh, so you know, obviously, so your missus is at home, doesn't she work? And he said, no, she can't work at the time because she doesn't have any papers apparently, so she's unable to work. So she's at home all day. So I put 2 and 2 together and I thought, so well, first of all, right, so she's illegal in this country, first of all. Secondly, she doesn't work. And third of all, he's a waste man because she went away to her mum's house and left the house messy and he had to clean it up. He had to clean up the mess after her. So hold on a minute. So she's there, sitting there with living for free, doing nothing, being a kept woman, whilst he goes out to work and busts his ass, because we do 12-hour shifts and stuff. He busts his ass and comes back home and he has to clean up while she sits at home and does nothing, and then she goes away for the weekend to her mum's house and he has to clean up and then go to work the next day. He's a fool. But I was going to say I don't blame him. I do blame him, but at the same time, I don't blame him because he's an undesirable male. Not because of the way he looks, but just the way he is as a man. If you ever met him, he's not a desirable male. But that's a certain man out there, and I know this is a common thing as well. There's certain men out there, they fall for the green card scam. Flipping cheek. So hold on a minute. So a man goes to work for the whole day and he has to come home and clean, whilst you just sit at home, leave the house dirty and messy, and you go away to your mum's house. But more fool him anyway. There are some men out there who they can't bear to be alone. So what they do is they get themselves a full-time girlfriend. And at the same time, they go out and prospect. They go to the club, buy a new car, new watch, chain. They look good so they can go out and attract seemingly nicer women. But obviously they know the game. They know that most of the time they're going to fail. So they get themselves a full-time girlfriend so that when they fail, they've always got something to go back to. So there's no real fear of rejection because you know you've always got something to go back to. There was this guy once on the radio station and he was complaining. He came on a radio station. He said, I haven't had a girlfriend for 6 months. I'm like, pussy, I haven't had a girlfriend for 4 years and I'm not complaining. Obviously in that time I've, you know, had girls that I've been dealing with, but nothing full-time, nothing official in 4 years. I don't need to be in a relationship. But there are some guys out there who they need to be in a relationship. They need to... If you know someone who's just gone from relationship to relationship to relationship, I'm talking about guys, right? Forget about women. I'm talking about guys who've gone from relationship to relationship to relationship. They're weak. They're what they call needy. I could never imagine having to go from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship. Like, yeah, obviously, we're guys, we need a service, but doesn't mean you need to be in a full-time relationship. There are some guys, they just need that emotional support. They need someone to talk to at night time. They need someone to cuddle with at night time. They can't bear to be in a bed on their own or alone. They always need a woman. And the reason why they're going out prospecting for women, other women who look good, is because they're not satisfied with the woman that they have at home, right? I don't business what anyone says, right? I know if I find a girl who's nice enough, I'll be satisfied with her. I won't need to go out and chase and prospect other women because, first of all, I'm going to be too busy to be running after other women. I'll be too busy to even have much time for my own girlfriend, let alone other women. But the guys who are out prospecting other women, they're not satisfied with their women. If you ask them deep down, would you rate your missus out of 10? They'll probably say they'll call them a 6 out of 10 because they know they can do better. But there's no smoke without fire. The reason why they are out cheating and looking for nicer women because they're not impressed with the woman that they got is it's not nothing to do with the woman, it's something to do with themselves. They didn't work on themselves to a point where they can attract the best woman that they can. They haven't become a successful man. So what they've done is they settle for something they don't want really, but they're gonna cheat the game. Well, yeah, cheating obviously, but they're gonna cheat the game by having the missus there on the side who they can go back to for reliable service, like, you know, emotional support and physical support, you know, stuff. They're gonna have a reliable source there, service there, and they're gonna go out and prospect. But there's no smoke without fire. It's because they haven't. The reason why they got a missus that they don't like that much is because they haven't worked on themselves to attract a better woman. Obviously, it's not all about looks, but if you're with a missus and you think your missus is like a 5 or a 6, right? That's a problem there. Like, your missus should be a minimum of a 7 to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously the look should be like a 7 out of 10 minimum. Obviously my 7 out of 10 is probably going to be like you lot's 9 out of 10. Just being honest, my standards are quite high. But yeah, your missus should be like a 7 out of 10 physically, but then the personality has to be banging as well. But that's the reason why a lot of men go out and cheat. It's because they're not satisfied with what they got at home. So that's their own fault anyway. They haven't gone out and became the best version of themselves to attract the best woman that they can. So they've settled. There are some men out there, they don't want their missus to work, you know. There are some men out there, their biggest fear is their woman going out into the world and interacting with other people. I've heard men say to me, right? I've had men say to me, when I have a missus, I don't want her to work because I want her to depend on me. So basically what you want is you want an animal in captivity. Basically, you're making your house into a zoo or a prison. You want to put her in a position where she needs to depend on you so she can't leave. You are insecure. That is what a pussy does. There's no way I can have a woman, right? And I'm going to try and lock her up like she's some flipping servant or some maid just so she doesn't leave you for no one else. Listen, if a woman wants to leave me, you are free. If a girl ever gets into a relationship with me, listen, you're in the most freest relationship ever. Anytime you feel like you want to leave, you can leave. And that's one thing I believe as well. You never want to trap people. You know, I meet a lot of people and stuff, and I see a lot of things, right? And this happens a lot in the taekwondo world as well, and probably like other martial arts and football clubs. But I've seen this in the taekwondo world. Instructors don't want their students to join and train with other clubs because they're scared that they will leave. But it's counterintuitive because I've seen on other hands, right, where a student has been based at one club and he's left to go to a different club and stuff hasn't worked out at that other club, so he's come back. If that initial instructor from the first club said, if you leave, you cannot come back, right? That boy would have left and not come back, obviously. But because he gave him that freedom to leave and then come back, he will always feel like, yeah, my instructor's cool. And when things don't work out at that second club, he won't ever go back to that second club. He will come back to the first club and remain at the first club. Whereas, obviously, if the first instructor said, if you leave, you can't come back, he would leave and he would never return because he'd feel like, you know, he has no place there anymore. So you should always make people feel free. I'm not trying to make no woman feel like she has to be in a relationship with me, or I'm trying to keep her in flipping captivity. I was watching the Steve Harvey show once before, and there was this lady in the audience. She stood up and she said, Steve, I have this wonderful business idea and I really want to pursue this business. You know, I have a full-time job at the moment, but I'm hoping that if this business succeeds, I don't have to work again. I could just work for myself. But my husband doesn't support my business ideas and dreams, and he's sitting right here. So he stood up and they've given the mic from her to him. And he says, Steve, it's not that I don't support her business ideas. I'm scared that she's going to fail. I'm scared that she's going to fall flat on her face. So basically what he's saying is, don't pursue your dreams, honey. Don't try and make something of your life. Just live within a box. Be like me. Be a pussy like me. Because he's not doing his job properly as a husband and as a man if she can't go out there and try and pursue any business idea she wants because he's not able to provide a safety net for her. Now, I don't mean, oh, go out there and just fail and then just come home and then you just do nothing and then just sit on the sofa and do nothing. But, you know, if you've got a missus, right, and she wants to go and pursue other business ideas, she should be able to go and do that because if she fails, she's got a safety net, or at least a temporary safety net. Now, it doesn't mean you go out there and fail and then you just sit on the sofa and do nothing and be a kept woman. But he's a big pussy for holding his woman back. Only scared, weak, cowardly men hold their missus back. I used to see a girl once before, and you know, I don't believe in holding women back. Now, her ex came back into her life, and I knew she still loved him and stuff like that. Now, she is a musician, right? That's her background. She can sing, she can produce, she can songwrite, she can play the piano, she can play the guitar. In the music world, she is like superwoman. She is really, really talented. But over her life, she's just been failing and stuff. So her ex and that fell out, but then he tried to come back, right? And he tried to use music as an excuse to get back into her life. So she called me once and she said, look, Jay, my ex has called me and he said, look, I don't want to get back with you, quote unquote. I just want to do music with you. Now, she asked to see what my opinion was. Like, she wanted kind of me to say no, yes or no, should I do it? And obviously, as a man, my first reaction was to say no. You're not talking, you're not associating with your ex. But you know what? I thought to myself, before I answered, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to dare hold no woman back because of a potential insecurity. So I said to her, do you know what? Go ahead. Do your music thing. Because I know when they're together, they're not going to solely just keep it about business. They're human beings. They are going to talk about why they broke up and stuff, right? So I know they're not going to keep it, you know, strictly professional. I'm not stupid. I wasn't born yesterday. So I said to her, you know what? Go ahead. Go. Yeah. You can link up with your ex, because you know what? And I said this to her. I'd rather you leave me for him and become successful, because I believe everyone has a skill, everyone has a talent, and her talent is to be a musician. I'd rather you leave me for him and become the best version of yourself, rather than you stay with me and you are limited. You are not, you know, living and achieving your full potential. So I said to her, look, do what you need to do. Yeah, so she was going up, meeting up with him and stuff like that. And eventually, obviously, it was inevitable. We broke up, whatever. And I think she even went back to him. But it is what it is. I'd rather her leave me and, you know, pursue her dreams, pursue her destiny, than stay with me and just be a regular person and not exercise her full potential. That is not what a weak man does. That's what a strong man does. So I'd rather a girl leave me and then, you know, do what she needs to do, rather than stay with me and just not do anything with her life. If you like the video, subscribe. If you don't like the video, change your station.